Hello there and welcome to the channel. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. I'd like to say a big hello to my regular viewers and my subscribers. Thank you so much for watching again and subscribing and leaving such lovely comments. I really do appreciate it. It's so encouraging and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And if you're new today, welcome to the channel. Think about subscribing. And hi to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining in, and hopefully you enjoy the content that I'm going to be doing this year on the channel. So what we're doing today is we're going on with Junk Journal January, and in this challenge I'm doing it a little bit differently because I'm a bit short of time. I'm bundling together 6 prompts in a double spread. So you can see here I did prompts 1 to 6. Here I did prompts 7 to 12, and today we're going on with prompts 13 to 18, and they are papertrail, morning, frost, paperclip, ink, and accidental. So let's get out my resources and get started. So you can see here that my journal is an accordion journal and it's made out of junk mail. And I have prepped the surface. I've prepped the background today with gesso, and I'm going to be creating a fake journal inside my journal. And I'm going to be doing it as if it is a foraging journal, somebody who goes foraging. So you can see I just have cut out some pages out of one of my old journals. I'm reusing some pages. And I'm going to put that down and pretend that this is now my foraging journal. I found this lovely image of this lady who was going foraging in the morning. We've got morning as one of our prompts, and on her morning walk she was going foraging for mushrooms. And I found a picture in a magazine of some toadstools that have frost on them or morning dew on them. We're going to assume that this is a frost or a dew. So you can see that she's foraging and we need a paper trail. And my story is that while she was out foraging and doing her morning walk, she came across a whole lot of pieces of paper that were stuck to the trees or nailed to the trees, and they were information about different types of mushrooms and toadstools, so that you could pull it off the tree and it was information for you so that you didn't pick up the wrong mushrooms and start cooking or eating the wrong mushrooms. So I have these little pieces of paper that I'm going to stick to the trees as if somebody who is into mushrooms have left them there for anybody. And I've got quite a few little ones to dot around as if they've fallen off the tree and left a bit of a paper trail around. So that's where we're heading with that. So what we might do is we might do that page and then I'll show you the next page when we get to it. So let's start gluing some of this down and prepping our page. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some washi tape onto my join so that it stabilizes it a little bit, because the join in the junk mail is a little bit iffy. So I just am going to, like I said, run some washi down it. I'm using All and Create washi number 38, and we'll put, oh, it's got bees and butterflies on it. That will be good. We'll put a little bit of extra glue on that. Okay, so we have that on our join. Now I'm also going to do a little bit of stamping on this just to, break up all of the blankness. And I think I'm going to use a mixture of inks of VersaFine and Ranger Archival in Pebble Beach, because I don't want it all too dark. So let's get some backdrop down. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the date up the top, because I'm going to make it like a diary entry, and I'm going to purposely do it all a little bit off. And I have a few stamps out. This one is from Poppy Crafts and it's number 617, and it just has some script in it, some music and some stacked words. So I'm going to just use that to put a little bit of writing in the background as if it's been written on. I get my Poppy Craft stamps from Craft Online here in Australia, and I just want to break up the page a little. And then I have another one from Poppy Crafts, and it is stamp number 598 from Craft Online, and it's just got some long stacked images. Perfect for kind of like a botanical journal entry. And I think I just want to use a few bits of that, and I'm going to do it a little bit darker. Okay, so I think that's enough. Now the next thing I just want to do is just put a little bit of vintage photo around and ink up those edges. Okay, I've got those edges inked. Now I'm just going to put some glue on the back, some glue stick, quite a generous amount, and pop it onto my journal. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying the beginning of the year, getting into all of the challenges that are happening. I have pulled back on quite a few challenges this year with the travel that we've got coming up. I am not going to be able to commit to very many challenges, but I'm enjoying this one. We have the most beautiful day here today, here in Brisbane. It's very humid though, very hot and humid, but it is January. But it's been very hot, but today's not too bad. It is bearable. I do have the air conditioner on though, mainly because if it's too hot my camera overheats when I'm videoing, which is problematic. Okay, we have a fake journal inside a journal. Now, where's our lady? I'm liking this image of her walking in the morning, and we have our little toadstools. I'm assuming they're toadstools because they don't look like anything that you could possibly eat. So I think what I'll do is I'll stick this together so that I get it positioned nicely. I've never been foraging for mushrooms. We love mushrooms. We eat quite a lot of mushrooms. We get them at Aldi. We buy just normal mushrooms, or sometimes we buy like specialty ones if we go to Coles or we go somewhere that sells, a nicer range of mushrooms. But my husband particularly likes mushrooms, and our good friend Tom, hi Tom, if you're watching, he loves mushrooms. So when they come around for dinner, I try to cook mushrooms because I know that they love them. All right, let's glue this in, and then I'll do a little bit of mark making and doodling on it. And I'm going to attempt to use my art glitter glue. I'm trying to run it down so I can wash the bottle. And it's causing me a few problems actually, but we're pushing through. I'm almost at the bottom of the bottle. Okay, we have that in. I'm happy with that. We might just ink up this edge. And I think what I'd like to do is just to run a little bit of washi, torn washi, along that bottom edge. I'm not really liking that. Let's tear a bit off and run it along to break up that edge. Oh yes, that's better. And I think a bit down here as well. The neighbours across the road are getting some of their trees lopped. There's a pruning business and they're tidying up some of their hedges and they're quite noisy, so hopefully you can't hear that too much. Alright, now let's put a little bit of line work on this just to break it up a little bit. So I'm going to get my 0.1 and I'm going to put a little bit of mark making in, especially where the shadows are, and definitely around our toadstools with our dewdrops on them. They're so beautiful, aren't they, these little toadstools? They're so delicate and fragile, aren't they? They're absolutely stunning. These look like the toadstools that fairies would sit on and live on. They're beautiful. That will do, just a little bit of pen work. So now I need to put Papertrail on, and she's on a mushroom hunt and has managed to come across on her morning walk a forest that has a lot of bits of paper everywhere pegged to the tree showing which mushrooms or toadstools you should pick and which ones you shouldn't. And they're nailed to the tree and blowing a little bit in the wind and blowing off the trees a little bit. And some of them have landed on the ground. So she's picked a few up and is going to take them home and put them in her foraging journal. Okay, there we go. So there's our paper trail of notes about mushrooms that are flying around the forest floor. And the reason I wanted to have bits of paper floating around is to carry over our floating paper around the office last week, where Tracy, she threw all the papers into the air when she was ready to just go home. And so now we have some floating papers in the forest that are all about mushrooms. So one more thing I'd like to do on this page is to write morning walk on it at the top. So let's do that. And she's done an entry in her journal. Let's have a look at what she gathered, because she's picked up a whole lot of mushrooms, but she's also picked up quite a lot of papers. Okay, so let's have a little look at what we have here that she's collected off of the forest floor and from the trees. So we've got a few mushrooms from the forest floor, and she has pulled off the tree some of those bits of paper that tell you the different types of mushrooms. This one here is the one that we have on our opposite page. This is a bioluminescent mushroom, and it glows softly in the dark. They're beautiful. So we've got a few different types of fungi that are popping up, and we're going to put it into our foraging journal. Now I also have a ink pot, because one of our prompts is ink, and she has pulled out one of her ink pots and we're going to put some mushrooms into it. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to just ink these up, and we're going to add these to our foraging journal. I bet if you were wandering around the forest and you came across a whole lot of information about mushrooms from somebody who had generously left it there for you, you would be thrilled. I would be, because I just would be so nervous about picking any mushrooms, even if I thought that they were just normal ones. I don't know that I would use them. Alright, let's lay these out, and I've got some little tiny paper clips that I'm going to use to attach to our mushrooms, put into our journal. They're cute, aren't they? And we're going to stick these into our journal just randomly. But let's work out where we want them first. And I think I want to fold up some of the edges. Let's do that. I don't think I want them to be all flat. I think I want them to be lifting up. So I think what I'll do is this little cluster here, I need to figure something out for that. So we might just put that to the side for the moment, and we'll glue these ones down because I kind of know what I'm doing with those. I need to put some ink in because one of our prompts is ink. I'm thinking that our lady here, when she's come home and so excitedly has done her entry into her journal, she's spilt ink everywhere. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm predicting that's what's going to happen. I'm liking the texture on this that's all folded up, and our little paper clips. They're very cute. Okay, now we have paperclip, ink, and accidental. So we definitely have paperclip, and we've got an ink pot that she uses to put ink in to write in her journal. I'm going to bring out another Poppy Craft stamp, and it's number 591, and it's coffee stains, but it's got these really great splodges, and we're going to stamp some of them as if she has accidentally tipped over her ink pot while she's been writing in her journal. So let's use some of those splodges. Okay, so we're going to stamp, just with VersaFine, some ink splotches. She has accidentally spilt the ink and it's gone everywhere and splattered onto some of our images. Okay, you can see that I've got ink everywhere, and I actually do have ink everywhere. I have it all over myself. And we're going to glue this last one down, and we're going to have our mushrooms coming out of it. I'm going to just put a little nick in my top of my ink pot to thread all my mushrooms in, so they're in the ink pot. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking that ink pot being on there. Let's glue that on. Let's snip that off, that one and this one, and push that down. Alright, so let's clear the decks. I want to put a few splatters around, and I also want to put our prompts on. So I'll tidy up and then we'll do that together. Okay, so we have a few prompts to go on, and I want to do a few splatters. So let's just do that as if the ink has, gone everywhere. Now I just want to put a little bit of penwork around some of these mushrooms and our ink pot, and around some of our pieces of paper. Alright, that's looking better. And the last thing we've got to do is put our prompts on. So I'm going to hide our prompts underneath our pieces of paper. And And then we have accidental, which I've already put under there. So there we go. There's all our prompts. They're all hidden underneath. Okay, so let's have a little close-up at what we have. So there's my spread for today for 6 prompts. Prompts number 13 through to 18. And we have a lady going for her morning walk in the forest, and she's doing some foraging for mushrooms. While she's out, she comes across a paper trail of all of these brochures about what to look for when you're collecting mushrooms. And we have some of the toadstools or mushrooms that have got a frost on them. And she brings all of the pieces of paper home that she finds and puts them into her foraging journal with some paper clips and writes about them. While she's writing, she bumps over her ink pot and accidentally spills the ink everywhere. And so then she decides, I'll put some mushrooms in it. So there we go. I love all of the texture and dimension on both pages. I love that I've carried over some floating papers from the previous page, and that I managed to make a story out of 6 prompts. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was a bit of fun. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That would be really appreciated. And I hope you're having an opportunity to make something fun and new. And I will see you all very soon with another project. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye for now.